Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to the last director battle. And today we're going to talk about Stanley Kubrick against Michael Powell. Now, this is an example of a director that used to rank in my probably top 5, top 3 in Stanley Kubrick, who has kind of slipped to the top 12 somewhere, and a filmmaker in Michael Powell that was a lot lower just because I hadn't seen as many of his films, and is now ranked number 2 in my director list, which I only really know a concrete top 5. So obviously for the purposes of this exercise I'll be picking Michael Powell. I mean, one of the reasons is I just don't watch Kubrick films very often anymore, and that's nothing against Kubrick films. I think it's probably because I've seen them so often, whereas I do find myself watching Michael Powell films a lot more often. Obviously there's Michael Powell films that I haven't seen or haven't seen that often, so there's more to discover and more to kind of digest, whereas obviously Kubrick didn't really make that many films, and because I've seen them so often, plus I think it is a general reaction to Kubrick in the sense that he is by far the most talked about director in film history, I would say, and his films have been overanalyzed and written about to the nth degree. I'm sure that would kind of amuse him, because there's obviously theories that he faked the moon landings because Danny in The Shining has a jumper with the moon rocket on it. There's a whole documentary called Room 237 about all the conspiracy theories involved with The Shining. So part of it might just be Kubrick fatigue to some extent, but to be fair, I think it's just more the blossoming of Michael Powell's greatness, because you have to realise for a lot of years Michael Powell wasn't really talked about. It was only when Scorsese and people like that talked about Powell and became friends with Powell that Powell and Pressburger's films got restored to their full length and became more readily available. And over even the 3 years that I've been doing this YouTube channel, more and more Michael Powell films are actually available on Blu-ray. Now you could argue Kubrick is more singular. You almost can't say Michael Powell without Emmerich Pressburger, and they were arguably cinema's greatest collaboration. But Michael Powell's visual sense is just astounding. Yes, there's an artificiality to it. Yes, the films are not realistic in any way, but that's what makes them so amazing, because they are the magic of cinema. Again, Kubrick's films for the most part are astounding. I think Zavi's announced a 4K of Clockwork Orange special edition, which isn't one of my favourite ones. So I'll just go through some of the films by both. But again, let me know in the comments below. And as this is the last one, I'll leave it a couple of days and then do a results episode, and then I'll probably run to the hills for a wee while. So Michael Powell is Peeping Tom, which is awesome, made in 1960. the same year as a slightly more famous film about a psychopath, even though, to be fair, the character in Peeping Tom is more a sociopath than a psychopath. To be fair, Norman Bates is probably more of a sociopath than a psychopath, but never mind. Let's not split hairs over pathologies. And then Age of Consent, which is the Indicator release, which is a lovely little film. And The Red Shoes on Criterion, which is a stone cold masterpiece. Tales of Hoffmann, which is flawed but also has moments of pure genius. And O Rosalinda, which is certainly flawed, based on Der Fledermaus, but also a lot of fun. The Red Shoes on Steelbook. Tales of Hoffmann, which I was fortunate enough to see the restored version in a cinema, which I don't do very often. The Wild Heart, but forget that. This has Gone to Earth, the proper version. The Wild Heart is the David O. Selznick butchered version. One of my favourites, The Spy in Black, where you actually feel sorry for Conrad Veidt as a German trying to blow up a British fleet, but you're actually on his side. Or maybe it's just me. Black Narcissus, the greatest film ever made about nuns and shorts. Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, yep, another straight up masterwork. And also what they were doing when they were doing it. You know, Michael Powell was so ahead of his time. A Matter of Life and Death. One of Our Aircraft is Missing, which is coming out in BFI Blu-ray. The 49th Parallel, yes, with an outrageous performance by Larry Olivier as a French Canadian. The Small Back Room, one of Powell's most underrated films. Criterion DVD of Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. I Know Where I'm Going, which is also fantastic. And this is kind of the one that is a little bit strange why it's not got a Blu-ray release yet. Obviously Canterbury Tale as well. Edge of the World, Black Narcissus and Criterion. Absolutely ravishing. Then we get to Kubrick, Killing and Killer's Kiss. The Shining. You're all familiar with Kubrick's films, strangely enough. 2001, which is still one of the most important films of all time. And it's a film where no matter how many times I watch it and I know how things were done, it still is astonishing. Dr. Strangelove, yes, I'm a weirdo, but this might be my favourite Kubrick. And then just the box set, which has Clockwork Orange, 2001, Barry Lyndon, Eyes Wide Shut, Full Metal Jacket, Lolita, and The Shining. I mean, Kubrick's shot composition is right up there with the best, which for me is Leone, Wells and Kurosawa. You know, Pass of Glory is an absolute masterpiece. But for me, for the purposes of this exercise, just because Kubrick's went down a little bit, again, it's another one, if you asked me 25 years ago, Kubrick would probably win. But Michael Powell films, there's just so much to take in, and just, to me, Michael Powell films are just more magical. But obviously Kubrick's films are still amazing. This is just a preference. So like I said, please let me know what your favourite is and why, and then I'll hopefully see you in a few days with the results. I'm sure you're all dying to see them. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you very much for engaging in this series of director battles. It's been very entertaining and enlightening reading your comments, and seeing all your knowledge written down in words. I think that's how it works. So, thanks very much. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying thank you and goodbye.